dun, 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 dun. Hey Vee, hey Vee, TV. Dun, 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 dun. Hey Vee, hey Vee, TV.
Hi everybody, welcome to heyveetv. I am Valencia Joy, hashtag heyvee, and I am here with a good sister girlfriend, Niyia. Welcome.
Hey.
So, I just want to jump right in. You have a very interesting story.
Do I?
Yes, and you tell us all about it. We spoke for the first time ever, really, like 2 days ago, and kind of clicked. And the first thing that struck me was you talking about healing.
Yeah.
And how we aren't supposed to claim our illnesses.
Yeah.
Can you explain?
Well, anything that has a name can manifest itself and become prevalent in your life. You give your power and your energy to what it is you're saying that you have. And so I learned when I went to aromatherapy school to become a certified aromatherapist that dis-ease is just an imbalance in different parts of your...
Dis-ease.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's dis-ease and it's just imbalance in the body, and you figure out where that imbalance is, and you treat it, and you keep living.
You talked about everything is in the blood, in the bloodline, and how we need to kind of
Cleanse. Yeah. Cleansing the blood is life. You know, even in different religion or inspirational stories, they talk about cleansing and detoxing the body, and it's to keep the blood in a pure state. When you receive any type of diagnosis, 9 times out of 10 they do a blood test and they can find whatever it is in your blood. And so focusing on keeping your blood oxygenated and eating a lot of healthy grain food, organic foods, knowing the difference, even with rubbing different things on your skin, all of that is going into your blood. So being connected to knowing what's supposed to go in the blood is everything.
So you mean like lotion and...
Lotions, creams, sprays,
nail polish?
Everything.
Nail polish?
Everything we put on our body.
So
even when we put our hand, like, you know, I have on gel polish, which I get like twice a year when I travel to try to keep it on longer. But even putting my hand under that.
You get it twice a year?
The gel. I normally just wear regular.
Gotcha. Okay.
But when I'm gone for like a week at a time or so, I try to get the gel because it's supposed to last longer than just the regular polish. But when I put my hand under that UV light, you can even feel the radiation. Have you ever just held your cell phone too long and you felt something like, you know, you should put it down or you should take the laptop off of you? That we're
That's
absorbing that. Yeah, and that's the way of the body signaling, like, move it.
They stopped us from putting our phone in our bras. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like when you don't have pockets and stuff.
The radiation.
Yeah. I think that's when they first started doing Bluetooth to get away from holding your phone up here all the time. That's the same thing.
They're trying to not tell us why, and just give us different things to use. Yeah. But it's time for us to really figure out, but why? Yeah. Like, what exactly is this doing? And how can we break it down and make it practical so it becomes a way of life?
So what you said to me resonated with me because I was following somebody on social media, and he's a pastor, and he was saying that we should not claim our disease. You shouldn't say, like, I have blah, 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 blah. So I inboxed him like, well, what should we say? Because there are some instances where you have to let people know, like, this is what's going on. And he was saying to say that I have been diagnosed with this disease. And you were saying that some of your classmates said the same thing.
Yeah, it appears as if I have this going on right now. But I believe anything, my body can heal from anything. My body can do anything. Like, at the same time, you have to, I don't want to say you have to trick your mind, but just think if you were to get some news right now, how that would affect your emotions. So the key is not allowing it to absorb and shift your life, because what happens is when someone gets a diagnosis, they then alter their life around the diagnosis. versus figuring out how to get rid of this thing and make sure that it's out of their life and to keep living.
So there's a spiritual component to this.
Yeah,
because
it's
Bible,
very spiritual.
The Bible tells us that our words have power.
Yes.
And
to speak life.
Yeah, and what we say is what we end up seeing.
Yeah.
So it's important to word this kind of stuff.
Yeah, the power of life and death is in the power of life and death is in the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell me about aromatherapy school.
Well, I was the only one of African descent in the whole entire school. My teacher,
is that hard?
It was at first, but slowly but surely I began to tell myself that I was reconnecting with what our people already did, and then it didn't make me feel like such an imposter, in the room, because not only was I the only one of African descent, but I was the youngest one too, and they were looking at me like, well, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
What is this about? And again, not trying to respectfully, respond to say, well, this is some things that I would like to make practical in my communities, as well, with a lot of people that I know, because a lot of them had a lot of knowledge, at least 5 things that you're supposed to keep in the kitchen, like they knew garlic was a form of penicillin once it's smashed, and how much to use for it so it can be effective as an antibiotic instead of going to the doctor. They knew about clove bud oil for pain.
Okay.
They knew about honey being a cleansing or a moisturizer, manuka honey. Okay. They just knew some of this stuff, and I'm like, wait, I've never
walk me through the
heard
honey.
of that.
Are we eating it? Are we
putting it on your skin as a facial or on a wound? Just literally letting it sit and rinse it off and repeat twice a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it heals you. Okay, keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, this is interesting.
No, yeah. Onion. To take an onion and cut it open, and you can sit it on a table, and it'll absorb any toxins in the room, and you can see it like 24 hours later how it.
That's like grandma stuff.
Yeah, how it blooms and folds, and dandelion for your liver. A lot of people drink too much alcohol or have different anger issues, because you can manage your mood by cleansing your liver. You can manage your fears by cleansing your kidneys. It all is connected, and it's a book out where now you can just Google it, but it's different shaped vegetables and fruit that look just like the different organs. And that's what it's for. It's not like rocket science, but we didn't learn it. So
isn't God amazing though to design us that way, to design really simple vegetables and stuff that
like if you cut a carrot open, it looks like the pupil of God, and it's good for sight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to aromatherapy school. So you mentioned that there were women in the class that were telling you, like, we Americans are sick because...
Oh, we give everything a name in America. If I don't know if you could just recall 10 years ago, half of the stuff that they have a diagnosis for. I've never heard of so much ADHD. And, you name it. Just I haven't heard of all of these different diseases, and they give it a name. We're gonna call, if you clean your nails more than twice a day, you have this. If you can't sit still longer than 5 minutes, you have this. When one of the ladies, she's from Belize, she said they did a study on a group of kids who played video games and a group that didn't. The ones who did not play video games could sit still longer. Well, if you look at a video game, the mode is switching like every couple seconds. And so if I'm trained at that pace, because that's all I do all day after school, I'm so used to everything moving at a certain pace. So I learn at a certain pace or pick up at a certain pace versus just being able to sit still.
Make my son get off.
No!
Now you said,
no!
Get off! Read a book.
It's not
At your
so
own
much
pace.
a bad thing, but if you think about it, a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to college to be a teacher. So you have all these millennials that are non-traditional, that they would be cool teachers to match, with today's children. But now you have, the 65-year-old science teacher who's talking like this to the kids. And they sitting there like, what? What's going, And so it's just a difference in the times too. Okay. With how the kids are learning and what they have access to. Okay. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so it's like, no, I'm not going to let you diagnose my child and tell them that it's something going on with them as to why they can't sit still. And sometimes you just need to find out what's going on in their mind and address it. Okay. And speak to it.
Okay. So, and this may be a little off topic, but for the children that are like pumped with, what's it called? Ritalin? Is that? Yeah.
Again, cleansing the blood. All that stuff goes to the blood. And it may take more time for others. Even with cancer, it's a new study out that apricot seeds, they sell them right at mustard seed. Matter of fact, and you can eat up to 3 or 4 a day. And they begin to go in the blood and cure cancer. Okay.
And there are proven studies?
Yeah, proven studies. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, okay, now, so this is, sugar feeds cancer. Sugar feeds a lot of different things like parasites and all kinds of stuff. So that's with a healthy diet, meaning, no sugar. You've started to eat right. Some raw fruits and vegetables, no meat, and along with the apricot seed so that you can create a conducive environment for it to be effective.
No meat? Okay. Does that include bacon?
No meat, no bacon.
Okay.
Yeah. Just so you can get better though. It doesn't have to be a lifestyle change. Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. It's just like to drown out, a certain substance out of the body.
Been diagnosed with diabetes. So that's my pancreas. Okay. So what would I eat for that?
Well, anything bitter first thing in the morning. Well, how about this? You tell me what you do first thing in the morning and I can tell you something to do.
It's bad. I don't eat probably until 11, 12 o'clock. Well, if my doctor is watching.
At least 3 glasses of 24 ounces of water by 11 o'clock. Okay. And one of those glasses could be hot water with lemon. Okay. Organic lemon or lemon juice that can go in and start detoxing your blood. Do you know your blood type?
I think.
Okay. Well, you can actually create a diet around your blood type. Like some people need meat a certain portion a week or a month, and then some people it's best that they don't eat meat. So maybe you could become your own friend and find out exactly. But I have this really cool book that we could look in, and as a matter of fact, it's in the backseat of my car outside.
Oh, great!
Before you leave, I leave, we can look up some different things that you could make right in the kitchen. Do you like chickpeas? Like hummus?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You have to look at it as medicine.
Okay. I'll give it a shot. As long as I can still have bacon.
I don't know if bacon is a part of the plan. But I'm sure that...
we just talked about speaking.
What about bacon flavored chickpeas?
You have totally lost me.
We can put a little bacon grease on the chickpeas.
Okay, moving on. You are a Christian. You're a believer.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. So, you shared that you had some stressful church experiences.
I had some very challenging experiences going through some different churches. I was at a church for 7 years.
Well, let me stop you.
Okay.
Did you grow up in church?
I did grow up in church. My mom sung in the choir when I was in her belly. And at 6 years old, I was a part of the cherubs choir.
Okay.
And I sung. I remember, if anybody asks me who I am, that would be my solo.
Okay. All right.
So that was my solo. Everybody get up, yeah, baby, sing, Niyia. And I remember I had on a red and white dress that my mom made.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it was oversized and a big Christmas bow in
Of
front.
course,
And
of course. That's what we did.
To
sing. That is what we
and
did.
to sing. So yes, definitely grew up. Vacation Bible School. They still have the same books out now that we had when we were younger. And I grew up in a Baptist church, so it was very different. If you get too loud, the whole church goes turn around and look at you and give you that look. Now, sit down.
It don't take all that.
You doing too much.
It don't take all that.
Don't make all that noise. So, I went with my father's mother every weekend, and eventually joined her church and got baptized at her church, and she took ill when I was 22 years old. So I went through that stage. I feel like most of us go through it, where you have to go to church when you're younger, and then as soon as they start asking you, you say no. So I stopped going for a while during the college years. I had a roommate who went to Creflo Dollar's church, and she was like, you need to go with me. She was from the Bahamas, and she didn't even understand how guys could call my phone that hadn't met my father. Because in her culture, no one can call you until your father. And I was like, girl, I don't know where my father is. I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't got time for that. Please call me tonight. So she was like, yeah, you come to church with me. So we rode the bus. I went to Clark, Atlanta. Rode the bus to Dr. Dollar's church. And I remember walking up, and I was like, this ain't no church. This is a football dome. Oh, my goodness, because I had just never saw anything like that. You sing the songs and the little ball bounce to the next word. I was like, this happened on PBS. It's the only time I ever saw this before. So that was a different experience for me. And it made me grateful to come back to, just an intimate church. And my cousins invited me to a church here, and they were just like, it's, you can understand it, and it's going to be something that you can relate to instantly. You're not going to try to have to think. And I think that was the start of trying to make God simple. I believe that spiritual things are practical, but God is so expansive and so,
beyond.
Yeah, just anything but simple, So I started going there, and it was very trendy and hip and current. My grandmother died during that time, and my grandmother was a missionary, like clockwork. Prayer meetings on Tuesdays, feed the homeless on Wednesdays, Fridays were get the bananas together for the nursing home on Saturday, Sunday school. If you don't help pick the greens before church, you don't eat after church. Like it was, it was a very strict household, and I wanted, everybody said, of course, you're not gonna see her again unless you do right and follow in her footsteps. You're not going to be able to, and I believed it, whatever they were saying. And a lot of that was them trying to instill what they thought was the fear of God at that time in me, so that we don't want her to get wild. We want to keep her
contain
with
her.
us. Yeah, contain her. And so I did that, and I ended up joining this church that my cousin invited me to, and I just signed up for everything, and they let me. Like, fresh off the street. I'm an intercessor. I want to pray for all y'all. Like, y'all don't know me. I don't know y'all. What to say? Okay, let's go. Like, signed up. I was an usher, a greeter, cleaned the toilets. Anything you can name.
You cleaned the toilets?
I cleaned the toilets because it was this one sermon, like, you got to be able to clean the toilets. If you ain't too anointed you can't do this and do that. And I'm like, oh, okay. God me be more this
servant-like.
Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever, clean the windows. And I remember being in the bathroom with one of the elders, and she was showing me how to put vinegar on the windows first, and then go over it with the Windex.
Okay.
I don't know. So yeah, girl, we cleaned the bathrooms and
like they didn't have people.
Everything. No, I just thought I was being a servant and working my way to heaven, literally.
Yeah.
You know, and I realized that, you know, I would hear one thing at church: "You're so anointed. You do this so good and so well." But I didn't feel healthy when I would go home. I felt sometimes even worse than when I walked in the door, because I was still grieving my grandmother and some parts of my life, you know, because when you go to church, depending on the preaching style, you can leave there feeling like you're a total failure and God is mad at you. And it's going to take you 25 years before, you know, anything about you is Christ-like, you know, and that could be depression, you know, a form of depression in itself. And so,
and repression,
oppression, everything, you know,
all of the depressions.
And so I went through that whole cycle, and I remember that by now I'm an altar worker, because, you know, you gotta, I guess, do every other ministry first, and then you could become, you know, altar worker. So, yes. So
you done made it.
I made it. I get to do like this when come on down, baby. So they you know, they did the come to Jesus moment, you know, and I remember this young guy. He couldn't have been older than 19. He said, "If this is the best part of the service, us coming to dedicate our souls back to God, why do we have to go in the back?" And I was just like, he kind of smart. Like, in other words, like, what are they hiding that they can't do out here in the open? You know. And I remember that it was kind of a I don't want to say a scam, but they were telling them, they would put a lot of fear in them. Okay, you've done it. Now Satan is going to be mad at you. Now your mother might turn on you tomorrow. Now everything's going to go wrong because you came here, but we want to see you next Sunday because you're going to go to heaven because you walked down that aisle. It's like, you know, and I'm like, it's like the lights came on one day up here. Like, wait, I can't keep, this ain't, no, because I've been here for 5 years and I don't think I feel any greater than this young man who just walked down day one. And I know that they're about to do the same thing with him. He probably gonna be an auto worker in 5 months. If he cleaned the toilets, no, seriously. And so it was something missing. But at that moment is when I really began to pray. I remember going home and saying, "Okay, God, if you're real, I really need you to show up and speak to me. And I'm going to, you know, read this Bible. I'm going to need you to speak to me because what I'm hearing, what I'm doing is clashing and it's not lining up." You know, and not to say that I wasn't paying attention as a child, but I had a really good memorization of the scriptures versus just life application and knowing how to live it. And so it really took me from detoxing from the religion aspect and all of the ministry ways that I had encountered to really start to build a relationship with God and learn God's voice over all the other voices.
So relationship. That's so important to me as I'm raising my children, because I grew up in a Baptist church and we were there, you know, all the time and doing a lot of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You should be active in your church, but if there is no relationship to fall back on when you suffer loss or when you're going through a tough time, then what's the point? You know what I mean? So I don't want my children to be so much into protocol.
Yeah. And then you know what? I believe that that's just a form of godliness that the word talks about. You know, just having the form.
Oh, yeah.
When you don't, you know, you're connected to the law, but you don't have any love. You don't have any fruit. You know, you don't know the people in your church. You know, it's no community. It's just, you have to really connect with yourself in order, and you know, God, the Holy Spirit, and then really connect with others.
And you
and then you want to help after that point.
Yeah.
You know,
your heart changes.
Yeah, you want to jump in
and the other
do
thing
what you
is,
can do.
we can always tell, like, when we're growing, not even just spiritually, just in life. Am I growing? Am I learning? Am I advancing, or am I just staying still? You know what I mean? And I think you made a good point. You said you were there for however long, and you were still like in the same spot spiritually.
An emotional like wreck.
Not growing.
Yeah.
So,
but I can say, you know, I could say something timely at that moment and get an applause. And be so far disconnected. Be so disconnected from it. Yeah.
But like you said, even though it was a negative situation, it forced you to talk to God on your own.
Yeah.
So it turned around in your favor.
It did, but a period that I did go through was anything that reminded me or seemed familiar to what I experienced, I will automatically shun. Which is really ugly. It created, you know, real rebellious space for me, where I would be like, I don't want to hear that. I know what's coming next. Yep. Ooh, you about to go do that? Why? You know? And it was just, it was really me still kind of crying out for wanting more understanding, and wanting others to see, like, what I had went through, but really it's just a personal walk, you know. And so the more you become aware and you go get in the face of God, it's like getting in the mirror. Like, I could tell you all day that turn this way, but it's like when you get in there, you can straighten up what you see.
That's a great analogy.
So it was me being patient with others, how, you know, God and others were patient with me, because I did have some people, you know, telling me, like, that's not cool. You don't have to do that. Why are you there? You know? And I was just like, y'all heathens, and y'all going to hell. I'm not going to hell like you.
So where are you now spiritually?
I am free. I am a free spirit. I love to pray. I love to sit and listen. If I could do anything, you know, like if I didn't have to create an income for myself or anything like that, I would just sit by the water all day long. I've become more in tune with...
Do you hear God there?
Yeah, with nature and just being appreciative. And I noticed that when I stare at a body of water, it's almost like my mind is just expanding. You know, water has like no beginning, no end, and I'm able to pray there. I'm able to be, you know, thankful there.
Are you in church now?
I visit a church in Atlanta where I am that is amazing.
Good.
I will give him a shout out, Dr. Bonner. His teachings are amazing. He was talking about being anointed and appointed versus being disappointed. And he said disappointment comes from being in disagreement with your purpose, your inner desire. So when you don't agree with, you're battling with where God has you, then you're in a disappointed place that you can't operate in your anointed, because you're appointed and anointed for your purpose. And I'm like he says something like,
light bulb.
Yeah, so, and you know, of course, using scriptures and stuff, but he is very, you know, one thing that got me, he said, you know, we're just not going to do church. You know, we're going to become the church in here. And I was like, okay, I can get with this. Yeah. You know, and because I did tiptoe back into assembly, you know, and I sometimes hop into the women's groups to see what they're talking about, you know, and I have had a few scares. I walked into one church, because the South is definitely the Bible Belt. You know, you can get some lashes in a minute, you know, and they were talking about, y'all in here jiggling, you need to learn how to get the right bras and panties before you come walking up here. I was like, oh, I gotta go. I ain't about to play this. Mm-hmm. This ain't no, where the Bible? Where y'all find that?
Right.
Because that's the Holy Spirit's job, you know, and you just love on people, and you don't know if this woman only had what she had on to come in here today, or if she was at work or doing something else, and she just popped in because she needed her spirit fed. Right. And you up here talk about what's jiggling on her body, like, you know. Right. You and I talked about making sure that you're sound in what you do, and that it does line up with the letter in the Bible, but just making it practical for others to digest until they get there. And if they start a conversation at a higher place, then you just go there with them. Right. But not making anybody feel alienated. Right.
So tell me about your tea.
Well, this shirt says, "Embrace other women. You don't know what it takes to be her." Mm-hmm. And you don't. Mm-hmm. It's very true. So I was petitioning God about working with women as far as the event that I have once a year. And I said, well, maybe it's too much right now, and it's something that I can do later once more of my story is out and it makes more sense. Mm-hmm. And I went to sleep, and I woke up, and God gave me this quote, literally, and I Googled it, because I was like, oh, well, let me find where it is and see, you know, what I'm supposed to do, because I often will get inspired and write something down or something, you know, but it may be traced back to someone else, and I couldn't find it. So I said, oh, I'll just make it an Instagram post. That's what we do, right? We hear stuff, we get stuff, we put it on social media. And I had a photo shoot with some girls, and I just used that as the background, because I dib and dab in a little graphics from time to time. Mm-hmm. And so I posted, and maybe like 4 days later, I had got over 70,000 likes. And I was like, I think that's clear. I think I'm supposed to stay with it, you know. Right. And I was like, talking to my sister, you know, we were very excited. Portia from the Real Housewives of Atlanta is one of the first people that reposted it. And she's in Atlanta, and I'm like, I gotta send her an email or a letter, see if I can meet with her. And I end up meeting with her sister. Okay. And I was like, I'm gonna get it on a coffee mug. And my sister is 9 years younger than me. She was like, a coffee mug.
We don't drink coffee.
She was like, everybody wears a t-shirt. 7 to 70. You need to hurry up and get that on a t-shirt. And I did, and it became another stream of income for me. And I use that money now to host. It goes towards, you know, one of the streams for the event, because I have to pay for that until I get like a huge sponsor. Anybody.
Smile for the camera. So tell me about the event.
So the event focuses on just women unifying.
It's from 100 Women in White.
It's United Women in White now, because I took the 100 off of it. It had been used before, and also it makes women think that when we get to 100, then that's it. You know, so I didn't want to date it, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So United Women in White will allow the vehicle now for the event also to travel. So it's not for any particular race or type of woman. A lot of events that I've been to, you know, you have all the natural girls are best friends, or all the girls that shop at Lane Bryant are best friends, or all the bundle girls are best friends, or the black girl magic, you know, you got to be a certain shade. I might still be too light for some of them. You know, it's just like, okay, so where's something where we're all just coming together because we have a heartbeat and because we're women, you know. Mm-hmm. Not the real women or the bad, you know, whatever. It's no. What's your gender? Okay, you're okay. Yeah, you come. So just kind of starting there, and then creating a sense of community. The first couple of events just kind of, the very first event I allowed to happen organically. And what happened is, of course, we love to talk, we love to share our stories and allow others to kind of peek into our lives. But now I want to focus on the beauty side, because we all have pain, and none of us are exempt from trauma. You know, it's going to hit at some point closely. Yeah. And so, like, let's share the beauty of how we're dealing with life and how we're doing life. And I love entertainment. I love production. You know, like, my dream job would be to be an executive producer, like, of a show. So I always kind of get some singing or something in there too, to kind of make it be more of a production. I sometimes could get overboard. It's like, okay, one person to sing and one person to do this. I'm like, no, I want all five of them and we gonna figure it out. And, so just learning how to allow it to shape itself, but make sure that it's very impactful so that everyone leaves with something is the goal.
Right.
Now. So
know how powerful is the woman?
Oof. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, my power is about an 8. And the reason being is I've spent so much time trying to be strong, thinking that being strong was the way that I'm supposed to be, when I realized that strong women break. And so I'm learning more to be resilient.
Very good.
And that's where I am. So it's like backtrack, because in God we can do all things.
Right.
But even realizing my own power, I thought like it's nothing that I can't do. But then I realized that no, you can break and burn out. And my grandmother passed of a nervous breakdown, and that made me realize. And I thought she was like the strongest, and she was the strongest, but she broke. And so that made me kind of like revisit and examine like where I am and how I'm handling and things in my own strength versus allowing God's strength to flow through me and learning how to just go with the flow of God.
What does the future hold for Niyia?
Hopefully, I hit the lottery and then no, just
so I can get some numbers at the water.
That's funny. Play my birthday. No, well, I want to write the second half to my first book, my novel, that has my story in it. Okay. Everything that I do literally comes out of my own story. I just flipped it open and I got a lot of different questions where you didn't really go into this. What happened here? And so I would just go in and pull something out and create another project. Okay. So everything ties into something that I actually went through. I want to continue it because I stopped at age 23. So I want to pick.
And you are now
37.
Okay.
So I want to pick back up because it's a lot more of transition.
Right.
And I literally, when I write in the form of where my thoughts were at that time. So someone may read like, why did she write like that? Like, no, I was 12 when I wrote that piece. So it evolves as I keep going. So I would like to create my own like therapy bar where people could come in and learn about the different essential oils and blend them. They could leave with a blend for their symptom. Okay. So it'll be a place for alternative medicine that they could just come in. So.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me
Thanks
today.
For having
I
me.
enjoyed our conversation.
Definitely.
Let everybody know where they can find your book, your website, your everything.
So my social media handle is Uniquely Niyia. It's UNIQUELY. NIYIA, and also my website is uniquelyniyia.com. So if you just Google Uniquely Niyia, everything will pop up and you'll be able to have access to what I do.
Check her out, ladies. She is super dope. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.